Okay. Kyle, thank you for your patience and being a guest today. I got Kyle O'Malley here joining us from the Miracle League of Arizona. Super good to have you, man. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having me, Jason. It's been a long time coming, so looking forward to it.
So let's just get right into it. Tell the audience who you are, your background, and then what led you to, where you are today in terms of the Miracle League. And we'll have an opportunity to talk about the Miracle League, which we're both involved here in Scottsdale.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up in San Diego, so I was born and raised there. Oldest of three boys. God bless my mom. And grew up playing sports, running around like every other kid. Really loved that. As I got older, started playing high school baseball. That's where my first involvement with Miracle League began. Our high school baseball coach, the very first season that the Miracle League of San Diego was starting, forced us, I'll call it, to all volunteer as a team and help out as buddies the very first season.
Voluntold.
Yeah. Or high school kids.
Yeah.
Spending, 2 or 3 hours on a Saturday. Wasn't our ideal situation, wanting to be at the beach and stuff, at least initially. And then, we got there the first day and fell in love with it from there. Volunteered that whole season as a buddy. And after that was hooked. Volunteered the rest of high school after that. No coach signing us up, just me, myself, and I. And my dad and I started coaching a team. Then the whole family got involved. And, that was kind of the real start. And then within that, while I was on the board, I worked in college and pro sports for several years, which was fantastic and served its own purpose. But there was always a part of me that stayed involved with Miracle League because of what that stood for on both the sports side, the human side, and everything in between, the inclusivity and involvement of everyone. And being fortunate enough to be able to play sports myself, and then, seeing that isn't always accessible for others was kind of an eye-opener. So there was a definite passion behind it. And after a while in the college and pro sports world, I moved back to San Diego, and took over as the executive program director of that one. Ran that for a few years into COVID. Moved out here a couple of years ago, and if you had told me when I found out about this one a couple of years ago that now I'd be here and running it as program director, very surreal, like full circle kind of moment. And then us getting connected with your involvement with the Miracle League outside of the state here too is crazy.
Yeah, kind of wild. Now, give the audience a little bit of background and hey, I don't even know what the Miracle League is. I've been involved with the Miracle League in some capacity, not with here locally in Scottsdale, not all that long in terms of the actual time.
Sure,
our timing was honestly pretty similar. But back in the state of Indiana, it was more of called a startup, right? They're trying to get it up and off the ground and running, right? Where this is kind of called the poster child, maybe. And it sounded like you had a pretty good thing going in San Diego, but tell the people, what is the Miracle League and what's it all about?
For one, it's just an incredible community of people that the Miracle League itself is able to bring so many different individuals with different challenges, different skills, whatever it is. It's a safe space and a place for everyone to come get connected, build camaraderie, and play the game of baseball, America's pastime. And it's it brings together both the special needs community and also anyone else that wants to get involved, whether it be volunteering as a buddy to help the players out, whether it's as a coach, helping run the games and building connections with the families, and anyone else that just wants to be out there and take in some really special baseball moments.
Yeah.
And we're really excited about all of that, and hoping to add, some other programs and some other activities and things that we've already started to add on top of baseball. So.
Yeah. Now, when you say challenges, not to go into a specific detail of a person by any means, but physical, could it be like what kind of athlete, would you see, at the Miracle League?
They're like the most positive people in the world. I always tell myself when I walk through there, it could be having the worst day, and then nothing else matters. It's just instant smiles. So that's the number one thing you see from anyone that's there. But in terms of like the different challenges and things, it could be physical, mental, any of those types of diagnoses. We have a lot of individuals with autism that play, ADHD, cerebral palsy. It's a wide array, but the goal is, it's not just for individuals with autism or just this or just that. It's, a melting pot of everyone together to be there to share one activity, one goal, one dream of like being able to do that. So
and I didn't realize too until I started to get involved. Great connection with the family back in Indiana, and to be a part of, just like beginning stages as they're still continuing to try to build that thing. But the lack of places for those individuals, those meaning whether it be physical or mental, like a place for them to play.
Yeah.
It was just a handful of months ago, just like going to a public park, like things that maybe you and I don't think about, but with some of these families that have children that have physical challenges, like going to the park, if it doesn't have those things that they need, whether that be wheelchair accessibility or, materials or equipment that are, I don't even know what the term would be, but just the accessibility to that. And hearing this particular individual that I know, they pass by that park. It's a great park in this town, right? It's amazing. Kids go all over it. She can't go on it. She's not able to because it's not set up in a manner for physical nature.
Mm-hmm.
And so they try to avoid driving by it at all costs because she's super confused and wants to be like any other kid. But kind of relating this to the Miracle League, it's like I didn't really even understand, like, okay, it's a baseball field, but but it's like the dugouts, right? They're built in a manner in which it can cater to a lot of different individuals. You don't even think about that at a normal baseball field. There's probably stairs into the dugout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not all dugouts are created equal. Some
Yeah.
I can probably speak to that more than none. But not all of them have wheelchair accessible dugouts and the playing surface. And it's like you start to go, wow, I didn't even know that. And to give these children or these people an opportunity to see their children play is a very, very cool and special thing. But for the majority of people, even including myself, no idea, right? Unless you have somebody directly either that or within your family or your realm, like you would have no idea. You just take those things so take it for granted, for sure.
Right. Yeah, we only know what we know. So us growing up playing baseball looks a lot different than it might for, anyone else. It's a special field, the way it's designed. Nothing's raised, just like you said, fully wheelchair accessible, people in walkers, individuals that have a hard time seeing.
Yeah.
Like in any and everything, it's designed for all of that. And the safety of everyone that wants to be out there and play. And like you said, the families and caregivers and anyone else that's helping take these folks to and from a million different activities.
Yeah.
Miracle League, and a lot of them do other sports and different activities as well. Like them being able to be there on game day and hopefully take a moment to just sit there and watch.
Yeah.
the athletes out there, living out something that they love to do and want to do is very fulfilling and rewarding to be able to give them that opportunity. So.
Well, in this fall too, I mean, there was an athlete that was hitting absolute missiles. Okay, and I can't remember. It might have been Danielle who. You could probably speak to her involvement more than I can, but she was like, "Yeah, he's blind," and I'm like,
Yep.
That's no chance. Like, I just saw him hitting laser beams up the middle, but like, how amazing, number one. Number two, like, what an inspiration.
Right.
Think about some of the things that I complain about.
Exactly.
And being able to, put that particular athlete in a setting in which he can, do that is amazing. It still blows my mind thinking about it. And I can see it right now. It's like, he might have been one of the better hitters out there. Not that it's about who's a better hitter.
Right.
It's just giving these kids the opportunity to just play. But it was mind blowing. And then I saw another individual, and you can kind of tell when it's somebody's first time and being an athlete or a parent, but like the emotion that comes out of there just because they've never been able to have that opportunity. And I feel like that's the biggest thing is just, it's not about, we're not keeping score. We're not calling balls and strikes. And I had never seen a Miracle League set up. So talk to me a little bit about, okay, I'm an athlete now, or I'm a parent of an athlete. Great. That's awesome. You got to play but what does that look like for an athlete? I'm on a team. Now what?
Yeah. So, register, sign up, get to the field.
And does it cost money to be an athlete? Or?
No cost. We fund.
What's the catch here, Kyle?
We fund all of it.
And we have.
There isn't one. That's the beautiful part of it. It is free as free can be for athletes and volunteers to sign up and come out and help. Again, going back to just how we want it to, there can be a lot of hurdles and different costs and things that are very expensive in a lot of other ways with what our community goes through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
So our goal is really just to eliminate one of those and still provide them this amazing opportunity. So that's really something that we pride ourselves on is not charging a dime. They get a uniform, they get a hat when they show up, name and number on the back, meet their coaches. Coaches set up the lineup. They go out to the field with a volunteer, and the parents sometimes like to volunteer and go out there too. But like I said, we also like when there's enough buddies and volunteers where they can kind of just take a step back and be the parent or the caregiver or whoever that person is to them, and just soak in those moments. When a lot of times during the week and weekends and things like that, time's flying by, going from place to place or appointments, all sorts of different things, for that 1 hour game to just be present in the moment there and soak all of that in, both not just the baseball part of it, but the social and emotional interaction that comes along with it, them making friends. Not just with other athletes, but even a lot of them with the buddies that they get paired up with that are out there volunteering, or the coaches, and seeing all of those relationships foster and get some of them even out of their comfort zones from what they're used to in school and things like that.
Yeah, because, obviously, like you said, there's a range of athletes, and it can vary on physical or mental or whatever the situation may be. But in an instance where some of these parents are almost full-time caregivers, to allow them to have the opportunity to be a parent in the stands, is something that, again, you or I may or may not have taken for granted of just like that's normal, right? But for these individuals and families to have that, and for the athlete itself too, right? Like for them to be able to see their mom or dad or their guardian or whoever it is that's there, just to see them be a fan as well, I think is probably pretty unique and cool for the athlete as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the athletes, not a lot, but a decent number of them play a couple days a week because they can't get enough of it. So
double dipping. I love it.
Yeah. It's just special.
Now, talk to me about your time in San Diego, because that's where, how many years did you have over there? Because like you're bringing over a knowledge of, obviously each and every Miracle League, the mission is the same, but, things are done differently depending on the community and the involvement and different partnerships and things like that. So just kind of curious on, now that you've been here and you've obviously had quite a few years in San Diego, like what did you feel like was unique about during your time in San Diego and the Miracle League over there?
Sure. I think, well, one of the big things was that we had 2 fields during my time there when I was running it.
Oh, nice.
So, that brings some more moving parts along with it. But
were they close by each other, or were
no?
they
We had them
locations?
in different locations, different areas.
How far apart? Roughly.
Yeah, maybe 30-minute distance.
Sure.
So one more in like southern part of San Diego, and one more in like North County area of San Diego. The original one is in the North County, San Diego, and we had, during the time I was there, about 300 athletes. So pretty big. But we have even more than that here now. Within the first 6 months, we've grown it by about 100 athletes from what it ever was before.
And how many total this fall?
This fall, we were at about 400. Some of them play twice, but in that 400 range. And then this winter season that just started, which is usually a little bit lower in registration, was still 70 or 80 athletes more than what we've ever had in the winter before.
Sure.
So another huge jump and record breaker on the Miracle League of Arizona side. And honestly, one of the biggest things I remember walking in when I moved out here a couple of years ago just to check out what Miracle League of Arizona was all about, before I was involved with the one out here, because of my passion for it with Miracle League of San Diego. This is like a full-blown stadium. It's nice. It's nicer than a lot of ballparks you or I have played in.
Some minor league parks I played in.
It's in incredible shape. The team does an amazing job keeping it up. Dave, our facilities director, that's his baby. So it's a beautiful place to play. But I mean, you talk about like game day experience and stuff like that. We didn't have a video scoreboard or any of these other cool bells and whistles that we have with the stadium out here. And being able to, even enhance the athlete experience even more with those things where, we get to put up their photo when they go up to bat.
That's pretty cool.
And a walk-up song playing through the sound system, just like you go to a MLB ball game or a minor league ball game or whatever. They're getting the same experience as what happens there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So they get to feel like their own little big leaguers when they're out there at the ballpark, which is amazing. Really, really cool. Lots of great partnerships with the one out here. We had great partnerships as well in San Diego. But one of the biggest things is baseball's a gold mine out here. San Diego has an MLB team. The Padres are there, so you get involvement from one team. here you can get involvement from a whole host of teams. The Diamondbacks are here too, so we still have
Sure.
one pro team that's involved and gets to do that. But then you also have spring training and fall league and all these other opportunities to both educate, some of the minor league athletes or even pro athletes that don't know about Miracle League. With over 200 of them in the country, wherever they're playing at, they might be able to get involved with one out there, and then when they're here, they can get involved with ours. So, there's just an immense opportunity to bring a lot more folks together.
Yeah, there's nearly something going on year-round baseball here, except for like 1 or 2 months. I mean, you talk about guys start throwing up for spring training here in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
February 10th is report date, and most of those pitchers and catchers try to sneak in a few days early to go to the waste management. So like almost from February all the way through the fall league, right? I mean, the fall league ends late November, I believe.
Yep.
Like there's something baseball going on here. So you have basically December, which then it's winter meetings, starts to like it's almost like year round.
Mm-hmm.
Like you feel like baseball is here, which is pretty cool. Combine's now here. That's a new thing. With Major League Baseball, these guys come from all over pre-draft, and they're just like kind of showcasing their skills one more time and getting in front of like some of these teams. It's a pretty cool spot to be. Talk to me. I remember you mentioning to me that there was a relationship that you guys had in San Diego with the Padres. Talk to me a little bit about that and what made that unique and special.
Yeah, I mean they were fantastic, heavily involved at both. At the original field, we called it like Little Padres Park.
That's cool.
That was kind of the name behind it because they really helped kind of kickstart it. Long before I was involved as a board member or as executive program director. But during my time and involvement with them, I mean, we'd do some camps with them, different clinics, things like that in the off season. We'd have the Friar and some of the pod squad come out on like opening day
Cool.
to get everyone going. A couple of the athletes would usually come out if it worked with their schedules. Sometimes ownership would come out and say a few words. We would do some like ball game nights at Padres games where they would give us, an opportunity to bring some athletes out and kind of highlight us there.
That's cool.
We had one athlete actually throw out a first pitch, which was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That was a super special moment. But they were super welcoming and just wanting to help in whatever way they could, support the mission, the fields. So when we added the second field, they had a heavy hand in helping with some of those things because the original field that we had didn't look exactly like how the other one was, and no two fields rarely ever look exactly the same, but some of the things that we had at the original field that had been built up over time were missing, so they kind of helped step in with getting some of that done as well to make the experience as similar as possible at both locations for everyone. But that was it was fantastic. So.
Well, when you think about like it's huge to get a major league organization to get on board or just be involved in some capacity, right? Because, I mean, we're trying to give these athletes an opportunity to have a big league experience. That's kind of, we want them to feel special. And so to get involvement from, a local, something that's in your backyard is huge. And it's not necessarily from a contribution standpoint, but more or less like pretty cool for the athletes to think that like, whether even be the mascot, right? Like that's a really cool thing for some of these guys.
Sometimes that's the highlight, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, we have our own mascot for Miracle League, and when
it?
Homer.
Okay.
It almost looks like Mr. Met with the huge baseball head on.
I have seen it.
But when Homer comes out for games, the time stops and everyone just runs over there. So
kids love mascots, man. Like, and when a mascot is done right, it's really it's fun for adults too, because we had this is in Winston-Salem, so in high A for the White Sox, we had Bolt, and Bolt was like very he was like the what I would describe as like the purple version of like the Philly Fanatic. So
Okay.
he's like this big purple looking furry dinosaur, but kids would, I mean, he was the most popular guy in the stadium. I wasn't even a question. And he would even, he was really good, or the mascot was really good with interacting not only with the players or excuse me, the fans, but also the players. So it made it just kind of more special, more fun. I'll never forget. It's hilarious. We'll get back to topic here. It's a great story here.
Yeah,
I love our
let's hear it.
mascots, but the
I love
mascot didn't have all his attire clean. So Bolt always wore a jersey, right? And so one day Bolt comes through the clubhouse and he doesn't have his jersey on. So he looks like completely different. It's weird, right? And one of the guys in the clubhouse was like, "Oh my gosh, Bolt doesn't have his clothes on." And he had the whole mascot suit on, just minus the jersey, and he like covers himself and runs out of the clubhouse, But it was just like a really funny moment. But like the personalities and the things that it brings out in the kids, it's pretty fun. So it's pretty cool that they're able to do that. Now, were any players able to come out like during your time? Were you able to get some local big league guys or anything like that at times?
With the San Diego one, yeah, we absolutely some that were like former players that were retired too that still lived in the area would sometimes come out as well.
That's cool.
But then even during season, when we would play in the springtime, during the regular season for MLB, some Saturdays in the mornings before they had to get ready for their game in the evening, we'd get some of the Padres players out there every once in a while.
Yeah.
That's something when I started, I really wanted to make sure we're able to keep doing here. Like I said, it's a gold mine for opportunity with that, with how many teams are here.
The thing
both our local hometown favorite and all the other, 10 to 15 teams or whatever it is that are out here for fall and spring training and stuff like that.
I think the challenge here is the weather at times, for sure, right?
Yeah.
Like we run into that in terms of how hot it can get, and then the timing, right? So I'm not sure when the season was in San Diego, but I'd imagine the seasons were a bit different in terms of the timing. And then you start to think about, Arizona Diamondbacks and the timing of the schedules sometimes can be hit and miss. And then spring training, it's like they're getting here trying to earn a roster spot. So like you have to find those unique partnerships within the community, and you've done a good job of that even since you've been over here, right? And try to connect with whether that be minor league operations, just making them aware, like, hey, this is here, right? Like we're not saying you need to come out, but if you want to get involved, let us know, because we'd love to have you and love to have some of your athletes out. And we got some. You got some Oakland A's guys out there this fall, which was probably pretty fun for the kids.
Yeah, and another big one that we had, and I should say, even before I got here, some of these relationships, like they were aware of what we did, but it was really just educating them more and really like diving in and fostering those relationships with the teams, and we're here to do this thing together, and you guys can be a big part of, helping with the athlete experience, and just taking it, several steps further than maybe like a surface level introduction that was made, a couple of years ago, or, those types of things. So the Angels actually had a handful of players come out every Saturday morning, pretty much the entire fall.
Wow. That's cool. I didn't know that.
And I think this Saturday they're going to start back up with that again, or sometime here in the near future. Very until cool. It gets close to spring training, like you said, and they really got to lock in for rosters.
They got guys coming back, rookies, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of a new little setup, which it makes sense because the draft has changed so much. A lot of times now they're coming to the complex, and then what these teams are trying to do is build camaraderie, because it's like you're not really playing right away anymore if you're getting assigned to the complex. So it's a smart idea by a lot of organizations, but that's probably what that is. It's smart, and that's nice that they're doing that. I mean, it's a great thing. It's right down the street, Tempe. You know, it's depending on traffic, right? But
and the experience they get out of it, you see their smiles. We'll have some of them pitch sometimes to the athletes, and then you know, they're not used to getting shelled.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
That's, if you're pitching in Miracle League, your ERA is going to be unlimited or like infinite. So they just get to serve them up and watch the kids
for sure
get some hits off them, and the kids and their families and everyone are like, oh my God, I just got a hit off like this pro ball player. You know, it doesn't matter, you know, if they're rookie ball, high A, low A, triple A.
Doesn't matter.
MLB, like it's still a pro athlete that they were able to just, you know, take a pitch from, see it, hit it, run the bases, and then eventually score.
Well, think about like how many
pretty
autographs
awesome.
You probably got from people that like I remember going to a couple minor league baseball games when I was little, and don't know who any of these people are. They probably never ever made it up to the big leagues, but how cool it was.
Right.
You know, it's still like a very cool thing. And I also think it's really cool for the athletes too, because, you know, I'm sure guys as they continue to climb the ladder, signing autographs maybe gets a little bit more tiresome. But like in the beginning, especially like these rookie players, like it's fun signing autographs, you know, so it's fun for both the players and the athletes. But yeah, getting a hit off like a
yeah, it's a little. You know, the autographs are cool, and they'll still do those. But then, yeah, being able to physically get a hit off of players, like, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
Okay, so I'm not an athlete. I'm not a parent. But I just heard about this. How do I personally get involved, and what are some things that I could potentially get involved in? I'm a local resident, you know, and I got to get involved somehow, but like, where do I go? What sort of things can I volunteer? What sort of things can I do?
So one of the biggest things that helps us succeed as an organization is those folks that want to come out and volunteer. For a lot of the things that we just talked about, but to go into it deeper, you know, like I said, that's how I started, was as a buddy. So our buddy program is for individuals that want to sign up and be a part of the community, make an impact, help the athletes. And the individual buddy, you know, whatever time slot they pick on whatever day of games that they're available, they'll get paired up with one of the players on a team. And their role is to help them throughout the season, you know, whether they need help swinging the bat, it might be pushing them around in their wheelchair. It may just be to be that companion and person that's out there with them for the social and emotional interaction and building relationships and talking to them. You might just be out in the outfield with them, you know, rolling the ball back and forth, and that's their version of fielding that they want to work on that day.
Yeah.
But without those folks, that brings, you know, parents or staff or somebody has to go out there and do that.
And you want to allow the parents and staff to do, like, either be a spectator or yeah,
to the point we were just discussing, like, they're doing so many things all the time, you know, for for the athletes on a daily basis, that we want them to be able to really like soak in and enjoy those moments. Not to say that they can't, even if they're out there helping them, because they still do, but just to like be able to take a little bit more of a step back and really just watch and embrace all of it in a different light than they would be able to if they had to be the buddy the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
And some of them absolutely love it and still want to do it, and that's also A-okay.
Yeah. How old do you have to be a buddy? Is there a minimum requirement for age to be a buddy?
Yeah, so we the minimum age is 12 to start buddying.
Okay.
And then for coaching, it's 18.
Yeah, and the one time I was out there this fall, I was a buddy. I got paired up with the high five guy, so we gave a lot of high fives that day.
There you go.
A lot of high fives distributed, but
Bringing positive energy.
hey,
Love it.
big energy guy, big energy guy. There was zero lack of energy. I can tell you that much. But no, we had a lot of fun. But shoot, I think back in high school, because you're always wanting to put volunteer work, on your resume for either colleges and or future potential job opportunities, right? Like they're always, what's going to separate you, right? We all went to, there's a bunch of people here that went to ASU, right? There's 80,000 people that go to the school. There's a bunch of people probably at ASU that got good grades. But like, what's that bottom section say? And I was involved in different volunteer work, but nothing like this. This would have been awesome. I think back to, I'm like, I was picking up trash, which look, great for the, great for the world.
Yeah, it serves its own purpose, but
like, man, that would have been so cool. I would have loved to have done that, and I know one of the biggest needs right now, just to kind of like, while we're on the topic of buddies, is that since we've had so much growth, which is awesome, it comes with its own challenges with exactly what we're talking about here with buddies. And so 100%. I know one of the windows is the 3 to 5 p.m. window on Saturday. So if anybody happens to see this video, is that, we'd love to have you out if you're interested in getting involved. But that one in particular is, we take any volunteer that wants to get involved, but that window from 3 to 5 on Saturday, it can be tough. And so, but yeah, I was like, man, that would have been really cool. I would have much rather have been at a baseball field for a few hours than digging some holes for a tree.
100%. All volunteer work serves its purpose in its own way. But there are definitely some of those opportunities that are a lot more fun than others.
Yeah, well, it makes, in my opinion, it's like find something that you enjoy doing. And it's like, shoot, if I'm an athlete, what a great way to volunteer, to give back, and getting involved in an organization. Also, I think a side benefit is like if there's anybody that's wanting to get into sports management, there's so many different fields that I feel like can branch off of this, right? Maybe that person wants to become a teacher, a special needs teacher, and it's their first involvement or way to see if that might be something that they might be interested in. So I think it's a benefit in itself to volunteer and give back, but then it's like there's a lot of different things that you could spark your interest in and have some career aspirations within what you're doing here too, which I think is a very undervalued thing of being involved in the Miracle League. Okay, so you can volunteer. What else? What else can I do? Maybe I don't have the time to volunteer. What else can I do? Got to get involved somehow, but I'm time strung with obligations, kids, work. What else can I do?
Donations, sponsorships.
I gave you the alley-oop there.
That is, that is always something. Going back to, part of what I talked about earlier. We don't charge a penny for anyone to play, so it doesn't cost the families a dime. But that also means the funding's got to come from somewhere to cover all of those costs for game days, for the jerseys, for the uniforms, for all of that. So it could be, somebody that they can get their local company involved as a partner or a sponsor or something. Yeah. Maybe they come out for one group day where they can set it up, and their company or their office comes out and interacts with the members, donate, whatever. But that is obviously a huge part of any nonprofit, is having that funding to be able to create doing these opportunities. And like I had mentioned, we want to start trying to add in some other different programs, or maybe we do some baseball clinics on the side. All these other, fun, unique opportunities that we might want to add in down the line are all going to incur extra costs. So
and at some point too, that field's amazing, right? But the surface, right? I'm sure in the future is going to need to be replaced, right? Because it's not a all natural field, grass, dirt. We're talking, it's synthetic turf is not the right term. It's a rubber.
Yeah, it's similar to
It's like what you
like
see
a
at the
playground.
playground.
Yeah,
It's like
a playground type surface,
squishy, but like
but
that
a
stuff
little
gets
more
beat
firm.
on by the heat, and I'm sure at some point in the future, that's going to need to be replaced.
Yeah.
So just talking in terms of, okay, I give this money, scholarships, right, and athletes, uniforms, all those things, but like there's a lot of other things that come with it, maintaining the facility.
We have batting cages. Sometimes like the netting might need to be replaced on the batting cages. Turf. There's turf in the batting cages too. So these other, cool things. It's amazing that we have batting cages there. The athletes love to go over there and, take some practice swings if they show up early for their game and things like that. But that also gets a lot of wear and tear. If there's things we need to get replaced with the scoreboard, electronics are expensive. You know that. You're running a podcast right now. On a video scoreboard, there's a whole lot of different things that could happen that, that money could go towards helping make sure that the experience is still the same for the players with their photo getting up there and the music from the sound system. So many different things that go into it.
And I think what's cool is that during my short amount of time, like you can give, but then there's also opportunities where it's like, we've had individuals where it's like, I really want to see X, Y, Z, and this be used towards X, Y, Z. So like, one individual, really wanted to be able to provide, scholarships to kids. And so like you can go in there instead of just giving and not really knowing where that's going, is like you can really kind of say, hey, I'd really like to see this go to good use, and I've noticed this, and I would like to help here, more or less specifically. But then there's also the general, we just want to give to the cause because we know it's a good cause and we want to be involved. So I think that's what's neat about the donation side of things, is like you can be pretty specific in your ask as well. Like, hey, I heard that you need a Zoom TV screen for your conference calls. Like I'd like to whatever that is, and more specific needs is a pretty neat aspect. What else? Is there anything else that we might be missing here? Giving either time or money, getting involved in some capacity. The one thing I did want to bring up, every year is casino night. And you and I probably, we know enough about it, right? It's the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Miracle League, but both being newer to the organization, we both haven't been to a casino night, right? So we can't speak to the experience itself, but from other board members, I've heard it's an unbelievable experience. Plenty of sponsorship opportunities there, all obviously going towards a great cause. But that's coming up around the corner, and it's a really unique time because it's like kind of like the time to be in Arizona is February. Don't come here in July. But no, like, spring training's in full swing, right? So we got local guys that could potentially come in if they're interested, baseball guys. They could also donate from afar, but
auction items too, like you said, with the donations, even just auction items that we use at casino night as something else that we're trying to push to get more of those as well. But yeah, by all accounts, from what I've heard, it should be a really fun, amazing night with a lot of amazing people that you can meet or help sponsor and support with the organization. So.
Yeah. Now, is the goal, as we kind of start to wrap up here, is the goal to find or build another field locally? Did I hear something about that? Or is that like in the cards for the Miracle League? Because the Valley is such a big area. I mean, there's 5.5 million people that live within the Valley, which the Valley, for people that aren't from here, is just kind of the Phoenix metropolitan area, right? So like so many people, and when you talk about game days, Tuesdays, Saturdays, or whatever the schedule is, like, I don't want to say that they're at capacity, but, there's a definite huge amount of athletes, which is amazing. But there also is, hey, do we need, like, is there another field that's possibly being talked about? Is that in the cards?
I mean, I think it has to be. It's probably something that we're gonna have to explore at some point, anyways, with the growth. you know, like you said, there's so many different areas, and we have families come from so many different areas around the valley. You know, West Valley, way out, you know, by like Avondale or something,
Peoria.
or even further. There's Peoria, Glendale, Gilbert, Chandler, Ahwatukee. Like,
Yeah.
people are coming near and far to play, and so I think also there's only enough hours.
Yeah.
X amount of hours in the day to
Right.
to fulfill games, and we have new athletes, you know, signing up every season. So I do think somewhere down the line, you know, if we keep on this growth trajectory, it's something that we're going to have to. It's something that we're going to have to probably look at.
Well, you talk about how much growth we had just alone in this fall and this spring. Like,
yeah,
you know, if we continue with that path, you know, it's like at some point, you know, because there's people that'll travel near and far, right? We got
they do it
an hour plus away because, like, you know, again, where else are they going to be able to do this? They can't, like, you know, for some of these athletes, they don't have the ability to have access to these facilities, or even just like other common athletes that might have same physical or mental needs. So like they're traveling an hour plus, and yeah, I think Peoria would be a really good spot. With Mariners, Padres, you got, you know, the Rangers on that side of town. You got Goodyear with the Guardians. That's still
true.
Then the Reds. Yeah. I still want to say Indians.
An adjustment. Yep.
But anything else that I might have been missing there as we kind of close up? I really just wanted to be able to, you know, have you share your experiences or anything, you know, as we wrap up here that you'd like to leave people with.
I think after us talking about all of these different opportunities and ways that people can be involved, or you know, how inclusive and beautiful the community is that brings all these athletes and families together from all different walks of life to one field to be able to share a common goal and feeling together. People got to come check it out too.
Yeah.
Like, we can talk about it till you're blue in the face, but and all the amazing things there. But once you actually walk through the gates there and see one of the games happening, it's like, it's a whole different world of gratefulness and thankfulness that it's there and that it exists.
Yeah.
Like you said earlier, you could be having the worst day, or some of the things that we might like complain about on a daily basis. Like, oh, I spilt my coffee, right?
How dare you?
Frustrated for 5 minutes. I'm like, fixated on that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're out there and an athlete swings and misses 10 times, and the smile is even bigger on their face than it was when they missed the first one. Like, only positivity and happiness at the field. So, like, but you can only get that if you're there, you know, taking it in. So I encourage people to come out and check out a game as well.
Last thing, how do I sign up to be an athlete? Where do I go to, like, learn more about volunteering, or who do I contact? Like,
contact wise would be me, Kyle O'Malley, Kyle at miracleleagueaz.com.
And there's other contacts as well.
Danielle Downs, Cassandra Switalski, Dave Hendrickson. That's our full-time team that is building this thing and continues growing it and doing amazing things. And then signing up through our website as well, which is www.miracleleagueaz.com.
You got that one. You were spelling it out.
A little bit.
We got you there.
I'm not used to having to read it out loud. I usually just type it.
Yeah. So. When I first started kind of trying to get involved, I ended up connecting with a lot of board members, and just kind of
and that's how we got involved through one of them.
Yeah,
that's how we met.
It was just like, hey, tell me about your experience, and that was kind of how I got involved, because you can hear as much information generally, but like hearing about it is like pretty cool. And like, I think when I first started trying to get involved out here, it was like, you just got to come out. You just got to come see it. Once you come see it, like, just like, it's pretty cool.
You're hooked.
Yeah, you're
Like-
hooked. But Kyle, thanks for joining.
nothing
Had a
like
lot of fun, and look forward to seeing a bunch of volunteers and people wanting to get involved. But glad we were able to do this.
The information contained in this video does not purport to be a complete description of the securities, markets, or developments referred to in this material. The information has been obtained from sources considered to be reliable, but we do not guarantee that the foregoing material is accurate or complete. Opinions expressed in the attached article are those of Jason Van Skyke and are not necessarily those of Raymond James. Expressions of opinion are as of this date and are subject to change without notice. Investing involves risk, and you may incur a profit or loss regardless of strategy selected, including diversification and asset allocation. Every investor's situation is unique, and you should consider your investment goals, risk tolerance, and time horizon before making any investment. Prior to making an investment decision, please consult with your financial advisor about your individual situation. Raymond James is not affiliated with and does not endorse the opinions or services of Kyle O'Malley.